Second and last day of a conference in Brussels on Afghanistan. As Afghan forces struggle to keep the Taliban at bay in the northern city of Kunduz, President Ashraf Ghani is seeking more funds from abroad for his government. The EU, which is hosting the talks, promising 1.2 billion euros a year. And the US Secretary of State John Kerry called on the Taliban to return to the negotiating table.
There is a path forward towards an honorable end to the conflict that the Taliban have waged. It is a conflict that cannot and will not be won on the battlefield. A political settlement negotiated with the Afghan government is the only way to end the fighting, ensure lasting stability, and achieve a full drawdown, ultimately, of international military forces, which is their goal. So let me repeat it. Their goal of ridding Afghanistan of external forces will not occur by the demand or by the continued insurgency. It will come through peace.
Now, the fighting in Afghanistan has displaced hundreds of thousands of people internally, large numbers heading abroad. Here in Europe, Afghans make up the second largest group of asylum seekers after Syrians. To discuss this further, I'm now joined from London by Horia Mossadegh from Amnesty International. Hello, thank you very much indeed for joining us on France 24. Could you latest numbers of refugees worldwide?
Time being, unfortunately, after Syria, Afghanistan has the highest number of internally displaced people, which is 1.2 million Afghans, and also more than 3 million refugees only in neighboring countries, Iran and Pakistan. And then another large number of Afghan refugees are in Europe, America, Australia, and all other around the world.
Let's start off by talking about those displaced within Afghanistan. What would you say their living conditions are like?
Amnesty International conducted a research, and unfortunately the living condition of most of the IDPs are just on the brink. They are just surviving with almost no food, or sometimes they can afford only one-time food for weeks and if not months. And the living condition is extremely bad, with no resources, no technical and financial resources to the Ministry of Refugee and Repatriation, and also many aid agencies are facing quite a drawdown in the level of funding that they can provide support and assistance to the internally displaced people inside Afghanistan.
And of course, this week we've seen fighting in Kunduz. Any idea yet what impact that has had on the number of refugees?
Well, at the time being, unfortunately, the conflict is still going on, not only in Kunduz, but in Helmand, in many other provinces around Afghanistan. And this has escalated this year alone, a high number of internally displaced people. And at the same time, Afghanistan is facing with a high number of deported refugees from Iran and Pakistan. And as the security situation escalates in Pakistan, unfortunately, this country also used Afghan refugees as a political agenda, and they make a mass deportation of the refugees back to the country. And with all that, this is adding to the already chaotic situation of refugees and internally displaced people inside Afghanistan.
I was going to ask you about that with Pakistan. Russia's president has addressed the new State Duma. Amid a long recession and tensions with the US over the war in Syria, Vladimir Putin said Russia is strong when it is united, and the popular leader spoke of the need to strengthen the security and defense capability of his country.
When we talk about nations having the right to be strong, we're not saying that they should have great power ambitions. We never impose anything on anybody. We have no intention of doing so. The power of Russia is inside us. It's inside our people.